Thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. Today we're going to work on our Paper Dolls Altered book. We're going to make this fun project that is a peekaboo change-up dolls. So let's get started. This is a super fun project, really fun, great idea, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's get started on our project. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is find your images that you want to use. I'm going to use an old sewing pattern. It's not an antique one, but I like the dresses on the girls. It'll be just perfect for what this project is. You could also use images off a calendar or images you find online. You could look in Pinterest for images of girls or sewing pattern images or anything like that if you don't have a sewing pattern. So this is what I'm going to use, and now I've got my book. We're working in our Paper Dolls Altered book. So what I'm going to do is I've removed a couple more pages. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty section here, and the back of this page is nice and sturdy, but I think I'm going to add another page or two to it just because I really want it to be nice and thick and sturdy. So I'm going to Mod Podge my pages together in sets. Over here I'm going to put 3 pages together to make the base page over here. So I'm going to go ahead and add my Mod Podge and then put the pages together nice and smooth, probably close my book, let them dry, and then we'll come back and work on a background. Okay, while my pages in my book are drying, I'm going to move on to the next step, and what I want to do is take a piece of cardboard. This is a medium weight cardboard from packaging, so I'm upcycling, and you want to find a piece of cardboard because what we're going to do is we're going to make a tag, and you want your image to fit on the tag, so you want it to be a little bit wider. So what I want to do is mark this where I'm going to cut it so that this will be my tag for my girl, and then my other girl will fit on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and split this, and it'll be 2 tags. So find yourself a piece of medium weight cardboard. So here are my 2 pieces of cardboard that are going to be my tags, and now what I want to do is cover them completely on both sides with little pieces of paper, book text, anything you want. Just put your background layers down. We're going to Mod Podge those down and cover the whole thing. Put a layer on both sides just by putting it down, putting your paper down, adding another piece of paper, and it can be scrapbook paper, it can be tissue paper, it can be anything you want. We just want to cover this as a background, the first layer of a background. So see, just add pages, add pieces of paper, and then flip it over, do the other side as well, and then do that to both tags, and then completely let it dry. Okay, while my backgrounds are drying with their little pieces on them for the background, what I'm going to do is go ahead and fussy cut out my 2 girls that are going to go on the tags. They do need to be fussy cut out, which I know some people don't enjoy that process, but if you've watched some of my other videos, I give tips and tricks on the easiest ways to fussy cut. So we're just going to cut out these girls and let these dry, and then we'll start working on some backgrounds for the tags. Okay, so I want to see my backgrounds. I use some security envelopes and some text out of books that's from other languages and things like that, and I love to see that in my background. You can do your backgrounds any way you'd like. This is just how I'm doing it, and it's just to basically give you an idea of how to put together this project, but of course make your book the way you want to make it. So I'm using some varnish and paint because I want to see my background. If you don't, then you could just use paint. If you add varnish to it, then it makes it transparent. It makes your acrylic paint a little more transparent. And I really hate the smell of varnish. Ugh. I don't know why, but I just don't like it. I don't like it. I wish there was a nice smelling varnish, but there isn't. Okay, so I'm putting on some drops of dark blue acrylic paint and some varnish. And then so that I can see the back, you can use a baby wipe. I'm going to go ahead and use a slightly damp paper towel, and I'm just going to kind of go over this. I'm moving around the paint and the varnish so that I can still see my background. This is just my process, and I know everybody has a different way of doing it. And I just kind of move it around until I can see the background the way that I like. I get it on there just right. So I like this. Do a little more over here. I want to see that music print. I like this. And I'm kind of just lightly going over it too, because I don't want there to be specific lines. Okay. I like that as my first layer, so I'm going to go ahead and let that dry. Ooh, it kind of looks like denim. Kind of fun. Okay, so let it dry. Okay, so these are almost dry. I'm being a little impatient. You could dry them with a heat tool, but it could also bubble your work a little bit, so I like to let it air dry naturally and just be patient. But I'm going to go ahead and move on because this next step is kind of easy. I want to add a little bit of interest, and I have another video on all different kinds of things that I use to put texture in my backgrounds. You can use stencils, you can use sprays, you can splatter, you can do all kinds of fun things. This is from the dollar store. It is a cheapo massager, and it's got these little nebby things on it. And I just like to pick up some paint with it, and then roll it over my work, and it just adds some very interesting dots, and I just like it. It's kind of fun because I don't want a lot in my background, because some of the background is going to get cut out, and I just want a little bit of interest, so I'm going in and adding some interest with my dollar store massager. It's kind of fun. I like using all different kinds of things to make texture. And it's good to let it dry between layers of paint, so we're going to go ahead and let this sit for just a minute. And the next thing I'm going to use is a sea sponge, and I'm using it dry. I'm not wetting this sponge because I really want the texture that it creates. See that neat texture? That's what I want. And I'm just going to go in and put a little bit of this yellow ochre in a few spots, just to add some interest. Maybe just a little bit coming in from the edges. These colors go well together. You don't want to do, if your paint is wet, you have to be really careful so you don't end up making mud. You don't want to muddy up what you've got on your background. Some colors complement each other, and some colors make mud, so don't make mud. Okay, so I've just gone in and added just a little bit with that yellow ochre. I like it. I'm gonna let it dry. Now I'm gonna take some black and just use a gift card to add a little bit of interest here. I've always liked the look of circles and lines, and I don't want this background to take away from the girl that we're going to put on it, because she really needs to be the focal. So some of this is going to get muted down. And then once I finish this side, I'm going to go ahead and let it dry completely. And then I'm going to turn it over and do the same thing to the back. And you don't have to do the back side. It's going to be the back of your tag. It's preference. I just want it kind of to be, since this is going to be something that's going to get pulled out and used kind of as a fun, playful tool, that I want the back to look as nice as the front. So, but you don't have to do that. That's just my preference. Okay, so there I've added that. Some lines here and there. I'm going to zoom in so you can see a little bit better. Yep, and now it probably seems like I'm getting carried away. I said I didn't want the background to be kind of wild, but I'm just having fun here. So I am going to add some splatters. It's just looking, these cool colors go really well together, and like I said, I want that background to be seen. I just thin my paint down with water. I use a very soft bristle brush, and then I just tap it against my hand and splatter away. You can use a toothbrush. Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. Looks great. Okay. Now I'm super happy with it. And I'm going to let it dry. Before I am going to do the edges darker, so I think I'll do that before I flip it, but I'll show you that step next. Okay, I've tested out to see how my girls are going to look. And this tag is a little too wide for my taste. I'm going to make it just slightly a little more narrow. I like this one, so I'm going to leave this one. So I'm going to just trim this down. Besides, I wanted to trim my edges anyway before I go ahead and do my border. So I'm going to make my edges straight. You can tear them. You can do whatever you'd like. And I'm going to make this a little smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this out. And trim off those jagged edges. Yeah, that's better. I like that. Okay. And I'm just eyeballing it. If you want perfection, you could use a cutting mat. I'm not going for perfection. And I'm pretty good at eyeballing a straight line. It's easier to do with long scissors. It's not straight enough. Okay. Yep, I like it. Okay, so I've trimmed that one out. I need to do the back. So I'm going to paint the back side, and then I'm going to trim this one straight. Cool. I like them. Very fun. Okay, now before I do that, before I go to the back side, I want to show what I want to do to the front side here. Where my girls are going to go, I'm going to use some sandpaper, and I'm going to sand. Let me make sure my paint's dry. It is. I'm going to sand where the girls are going to go. So I know my girl's going to be right in the middle, so I'm going to just take some sandpaper, and I'm going to sand some of that painted image away before I put her down. Oops. Got a little carried away with my sanding. That's okay, because she's going to go there, and that's going to get cut out, so it's all right. This is just to bring up some of that texture that you've made from your layers, from your paper layers in the back and the paint. It just gives a really pretty look to it. Okay, so that one's ready to go. Now I'm going to do that a little over here. Make sure your paint is dry. And you really don't have to push very hard. Let the sandpaper do the work for you. And I just love how that looks. Makes it grungy, makes it fun, and it's smoothing it down for where our girl is going to go. Okay, I really, really like them. So I'm going to stop there with that, and then what I'm going to do for my edge too, I'm going to show you my edge. Those funky sponges, it's for kitchen or bath or whatever. They're really soft, and I love all the little fingers on it, and they work really fun with paint. So I'm going to go into my black paint with this, and I'm going to go around the edges. Oh yeah, I love it. Look at what that's going to look like. So I'm going to frame in my edge. Look. Oh, that's so cool. I love it, love it, love it. With my black paint, it's going to make like a border. It's going to border this whole thing. And frame it, but also give it interest. So I'm just dabbing this in the black paint to pick it up on the little fingers. And then I'm going in and tapping it. Tap, 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 tap. And it's like stippling. It's stippling that edge. Look how cool that is. I love it. And it's going to frame out this card for me. This tag. And then when I'm done, I'm going to flip over and do my painting on the back side before I add my girl to the front. I've got to paint that back side, and I'm not going to get too carried away with the back side. I just want it to look decent, so but it doesn't have to be super fabulous. There. Now look how gorgeous that tag is. That is so cool. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to do the other tag, and then I'm going to turn it, let it dry. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to paint and do texture and design on the back. Some of it is going to get cut out, and then we'll move on to putting our girl down in the next step. Okay, there's what they look like. And hey, don't get discouraged if you don't have this. Look around your house, see what you have for making texture. This is just for inspiration. And take a few minutes and watch the other video that gives you so many different ideas for how to make different textures using all different kinds of things that you find around your house. So don't get discouraged if you don't have one of these nifty sponges, but find something to make texture and play and play and play and look what you can come up with. That is just way too fun. Okay, so now I'm going to shut it off, and I'm going to let it dry and sit for a minute, and then I'll color my back and we'll be back. Okay, I'm ready to put my girls down on my tags. And if depending on where you got your image, if it's the front of a sewing pattern, that material or that paper is going to be super thin. If it's something you've printed off the internet, you may have printed it on something more sturdy, but be sure that you are kind of sparing with your Mod Podge for putting down your image, otherwise she will wrinkle. And you want to get your brush relatively dry of water, if it's been sitting in water. And you want to put your thin layer of Mod Podge as even as you can get. And put your girl down. And then take a paper towel, dry paper towel, and just press her down. If you try to put Mod Podge over the top, you're going to end up with a wrinkled girl. Magazine images, some of them are nice and thick, some of them are thin. So you just have to be careful. And I splattered on her leg. That's a bummer. Okay. So she's down, and now I'm ready to put my other one on. Put her on, press her down, and they're nice and smooth, no wrinkles. Okay. See, nice and smooth, on really well, no wrinkles. And now let them completely dry before we move on to the next step. Okay, now the next step is going to be removing their dresses. So you want to get your self-healing mat so you don't cut your table, and a good X-Acto knife with a brand new blade on it so that it's nice and sharp. And what you want to do, you want to leave her head, her arms, her legs. The only thing you're going to trim out, and you have to do it as neatly as possible, is her dress. Okay, so I will try to do this on camera if I have to lean in to do it. So you just want to press down and cut along that edge, cutting all the way through the card. And you're going to cut that dress out. So you want to make sure it's going through to the other side, see? Okay? And cut out her dress. Be very careful to leave her arms and to keep it as neat as possible. That's the key here, is make your cuts as neat as possible, because you still want that perfect dress shape. Okay, so cut out your dress and then we'll cut all around it. So now you have to be really careful popping it out. Make sure that all your lines are really good. If it feels like it's starting to pull a little and it isn't cut out well, then be sure that you connect those lines and cut through all the way, because you don't want it to tear. You want your edges to be nice and crisp and clean. As clean as possible. See, it's catching a little up there. Make sure I disconnect, and there we go. Okay, here's her dress removed, and here she is. And you want to do that on both of your tags. And what you're left with is your girl without a dress. But here's the fun part. Here's the really fun part. And you can see with my cutting mat, look, she's got a blue checkered dress. Anything you put behind her is going to become her outfit. So look at, now she's got this fun bright outfit over a magazine. Look how fun that is. You can change it up. Anything you put behind her is going to become her outfit. Isn't that fun? You could take it outdoors and hold it up against a tree or a plant, and she'll have nature behind her. She'll have leaves and flowers. You can put it on a book and look at book text. Here's another magazine image, and look how fun that is. Oh, she's got a dress with a bird. Oh, so fun. So fun. Okay, so do both of those. And then I'll show you how to finish her off, and then we'll do a background in our book to put the girls into. So I'm going to cut this dress out, and then we'll finish up on these tags. We're going to put hangers on them and do some touch-up work. Okay, there's my other girl with her dress cut out. Cute. Love it. Now I'm going to take my my crocodile corner chomper, and I am going to round the corners on this tag. Don't have to. I just think I like it rounded, so I'm going to round it. rounded that one off. See which one I like better. Do I like it straight? I think I'm going to keep this one straight and this one rounded. I kind of like that variation. Okay, and then what I like to do, I have a water brush filled with ink, and I use that for edges. So I like to go around my edges of my tags so that my edges are darkened. You can do it with paint, you could do it with distress ink, you could do it with whatever you want. I'm using India ink in a water brush, and I just do that so that it finishes it off. And on the inside here, you can see where the girl was, that is white too, because you're seeing the inside core of the papers and the cardboard. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go along those edges with some ink carefully and see how it just darkens it up and finishes it off. It just makes it look a lot nicer to me. You're not seeing that white edge. There, see how inside now you're not seeing this stark white edge. When you turn it, it's black. So that's just preference. You don't have to do that step. It's just finishing it off. And you could go around your edge with some Stabilo if you want. You can do whatever you want. But there, so now that edge is nice and blackened out. I just think that makes it look a lot nicer. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to put a handle on the top of the tag. Okay, and now that these are done, and before I put the hanger on them, I'm going to put a layer of varnish. I might even do two, let it dry in between, but I'm going to varnish them. And the reason for that is because they're going to be interactive and used and removed from the page a lot. And so I just want them to remain very intact. So I'm going to just varnish over the tag. And that'll just seal it. Just a nice thin layer of varnish, and then let them dry. And then if I think it needs a second coat, once that's all dry, then I may do a second coat, but this will just seal it up nice and make it more sturdy for interactive playing with it, with taking it out and holding it up to different things. So I'm going to put that aside and do this one. And then I'll come back and we'll put the hanger. For hangers, I'm going to use my Crocodile, and I am going to put an eyelet in each corner. I'm going to just set an eyelet in each corner. And then I am going to take some shredded material, some fibers, some strings, and I'm going to loosely braid them, put them through the eyelets, knot them, and have those be like hangers for the tops. Okay, there's my eyelets. I put an eyelet in each corner. Okay, I took this cool material that I have. It's this really neat batik print, and I tore it into 3 as thin as I could get strips. And now what I'm going to do is just come from the back to the front, kind of squeeze it together and pull it through my little eyelet here, if I can get it through there. That may be easier said than done. Okay, if you twist it, it works. Pull it through, and then I'm going to knot it. I'm going to leave some tails because I like those grungy ends. It's kind of fun. There, so knot it like that. And you got these cool grungy ends. Like that. Oh, I love that. That is so cool. And then what I'm going to do is just lightly braid this, and then come across to this side and do the same thing. Pull it through and knot it, and I'm going to have a cute material braided handle. Okay, so there's my tags with the cute handles, the cloth handles. My girls that you can put over just about anything and make her look fancy schmancy. Like, for example, here is some snippet. Look at when you put her over that. Look, oh my gosh, she's wearing a lace dress. So fun. I love it. It's very fun. So anyway, now what we need to do is we need to move on and do our pages for our book. So our pages are dry that we've put together. And now you're going to want to lay your base layer just like you do with the tags, with your book text and your little pieces. Mod Podge them down, cover up your pages, and then you're going to want to just do a light background. What I'm going to do, I like these magazine images from Cloth Paper Scissors. They're bright and colorful. I'm going to put one over here because it makes her have a really fun dress over here. And then I'm going to put this one with the dress and the bird on this side, on this background, as use these as focals for where these are going to be on the pages. And then we're going to put down pockets, pockets to put them in. They're either going to be plastic or mica or one or the other or both. We'll see. So go ahead and do your background, and because these focals are kind of big, I'm just gonna do some basic color in the background, maybe a little bit of texture like I did with my tags, and then put my focals down with my Mod Podge, and then get ready to make the pockets for the tags, and then I'll come back and show you how to do that. Okay, here's what I've done for my backgrounds. I've got my paper. I'm leaving the book's text. I like it. I may add some Stabilo around it or something, or maybe something else, possibly even some rubber stamping. I'm not sure, but I've got my images down, my focal images. I matted the one with the dress onto this really cool textured paper that I had and glued that in. I Mod Podged this one down as a focal. This girl is going to go here, and it creates the interesting pattern in her dress with the bird. And then the other one is going to go over this image. I love those hearts behind her. It makes a really cute hearts dress. Isn't this just so cute? I love this. I think this has just turned out so fun. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some mica. You could use pieces of plastic from packaging. I'm going to use mica, and I'm going to put it over the tag, and I'm just going to mark and put some eyelets here and here along the sides. That'll create this see-through pocket. Let me back up a little. There you go. Create this see-through pocket where you can see her and the pattern behind her dress, but yet you can pull this out to do, take it other places and put it over things to put different dresses on her. So that's what I'm going to do, is just eyelet this mica down to make a pocket here, and put her here, and put a piece of mica over here, and put it down as well with some eyelets, and that'll finish up this page. And then like I said, I'm gonna go around, I think, and stabilize this background and maybe do some other things, but you get the basic concept of what we're doing here. Is we're creating a clear pocket, a background that's really fun to put your girl over, so while she's in the book it's really fun and interesting to look at, but yet she comes out and it's interactive, so you can use it to play with it, to put it over other, in a magazine, flip through a magazine, do it through a book, take it places in your house, put it over the texture of your couch or a fancy pillow, and you can, whatever you put behind it, you're going to see through your girls. So that finishes up this project, and I hope you enjoyed it. I think it turned out really fun. I love the images behind the girls, how you can see their dresses and it changes. Just really, really fun. So play with this and have a good time, and thanks for stopping by. We have I have one more thing that we're going to add to this book. One more project to do, and then that'll be the next video. The last video will be showing you how to decorate the cover, and then we will be done with our Paper Dolls Altered book.